So here's how I change the strings. I've already changed the strings on this except for this one last one, and I've got to put this little string retainer down on this neck eventually, so that this thing's going to float around here, but don't worry about it. There are other kinds of string retainers that are just circular. The base that you have has got one of these circular retainers, and basically it's similar to this one. The whole idea is just that it pulls these two strings down closer to the headstock so they don't pop out of the nut, because the string can pop out of the nut if it's not held down over here somewhere. So that's what the string tree does. Like I say, there are different kinds of string trees. This is just one. This is not a particularly common version of it, but it is a version. So anyway, this is the tuner post. This is the tuner. I'm going to be installing the A string here. You can see it's a fresh new string, although I did bend the end of it a little bit here. So I'm going to pull this string out first and start from the beginning. This is actually a flat wound string. You don't see those too often. It gives the bass a very dull sounding sort of thump. It doesn't have a lot of bright frequencies that'll come out of it. Although I will say that flat wound strings are surprisingly bright sometimes. I just don't particularly care for the way they feel under my fingers. They just have kind of an annoying feel for some reason. Okay, so I got to get this end of the string into that hole right there underneath that screw. So pretty easy to do. Kind of hard to see it from this angle. Oh, go in the hole. There we go. So and then it goes up over that bridge, and it just rests in that little cradle. So I'm just pulling it on through. You can see that one's got that A color, the red color for the on the ball end. So now I'm just laying it over my this is called the nut. Sorry. This thing right here is the nut. And this is the truss rod adjustment thing. You can stick a hex head wrench in there and adjust the angle of the neck. And that will make it easier to play, or more difficult to play if you adjust it in the wrong direction. Some basses have the truss rod adjustment down here on this end, and they tend to have a little cutout there so that you can put a hex wrench in there and crank it. So and if you ever need to adjust the truss rod, that's how you do it. So I've got my string run through, and so what I do is I measure about 4 or 5 inches from this point right here, from the point at where the string goes around the post. So I'm going to measure out, that's about 1 inch. There's about 2 inches. That's about 4 inches, 5 inches. And now I'm going to put a bend in it, a 90-degree bend. And then I'm going to cut that bend right about here. I have to do it with, I can't film it at the same time because I can't. Only have 2 hands. Okay, so there, I've cut it. And so that end is going to fit right down into that post. You can see there's a little hole in the post. So it'll take the end all the way down. Come on. Okay, there it is. So it's in there. It's ready to start being wrapped. I'll make a first wrap with my hand like that. And I'll run it out across there, and I'll just hold this while I turn that tuner. And I can't do that and record it at the same time. So I have to set it down. So now I'm rotating the tuner. So here you can see I've kind of got I'm kind of holding that string up that way. And so that will keep it nice and straight as I wrap. Okay, so there it is. You can see it's all wrapped up. I try to get about three turns on that thing, on the post. And I guess the only other thing is that you want to make sure the string is coming out at the bottom. The closer to the headstock that you can get, the better, because you don't have a string tree for these two on the end here. Some bases don't require string trees. Depends on the headstock. If you've got a flat headstock that's flat across the so this one doesn't have a string tree because it doesn't have those two that are stuck up really high. Another thing that they might do sometimes is recess these posts to make it to where you don't need a string tree. This one doesn't have a string tree. That one doesn't. That one doesn't. That one does. That's got the typical style string tree that I was talking about. That's the one that is on that jazz bass. So it just looks like a nickel or something. But just depends on the instrument. These headstocks that are flat like this, that are parallel with the fretboard, those are the ones that need the string trees, because you got these strings that would otherwise stick way up, and that makes it real easy for them to pop out of that nut as you're playing. So the string tree keeps it at a nice sharp angle. It makes the break angle of the string sharper so that they don't just pop out. And normally these two don't pop out, so these two are the only ones that need the string tree. But you can see this neck has a bank, an angle compared to the fretboard. So that's why these don't need string trees, because those strings are already breaking at a good enough angle to where they don't need that extra little bit. But you can tell that one's got, I'm not sure what that angle is. It's like 5 degrees or something. I don't know.